Bugs Bunny is one of the most iconic characters ever made. If you put a picture of this rabbit up and ask someone who that is, they will know exactly who that is.
I don't know.
The Bugs Bunny shorts were works of art. From the animation to the music and sounds matching what the characters are doing on screen, it was a master class, and there is still nothing else like it. The backdrops alone can be put up in someone's room as paintings because of how good they look. These are works of art. Unfortunately, though, the morons that own him don't want anything to do with him, so he's been stagnant for years. But because of his success in the past, he received many other pieces of media, one of them being video games. But how are his video games? Are they even worth playing? Well, my name is Oren Clubs, and I review platformers, and luckily, all his games are platformers. So together, we're going to be taking a look at every single Bugs Bunny game. Now, to clarify, because I know some people are going to say something about this doesn't include the Looney Tunes games. I know you can play as Bugs in them, but I'm only going for the ones where it stars Bugs, meaning the games where you primarily play as the bunny, because the Looney Tunes games focus more around the group, whereas Bugs Bunny, well, that's a bunny. Weird rules aside, let's begin. We start off with a game made in 1983 called Bugs Bunny. And I say made because this didn't even get a release. We're off to a great start. This is a prototype that was dumped online, and it was released for the Atari 2600. The gameplay is very simple. You move left, you move right, you jump into the hole to get points. The goal here is just to get the highest score, as per most Atari games. You do have one danger, you have to avoid Sam shooting you. And this is where the unfinished part comes in, because if you're walking around the top of the screen, you can't dodge them. He will just shoot you point blank. This is my actual first time playing an Atari game, and I'm not sure if this is a generation gap or something, but I have no clue how people were able to play this. The game itself, it's fine, but that's it, it's just fine. It's something you play for 10 minutes and then you go, alright, I'm done. And since this was released in 1983, I guess the only other thing people could do was go outside and be a real person. Although, 6 years later, in 1989, our first ever Bugs Bunny game that actually got a release came out. And it was called Bugs Bunny Crazy Castle on the NES. But who is that? That is not Bugs Bunny. There's something off about him. Other than that, the game is very simple. You walk around, avoid the enemies, which are typically Looney Tune characters, and get all the carrots, which let you go to the next level. Pretty simple stuff. The game does have a few issues though. If you go into a corner, you can sometimes checkmate yourself, because you can't jump, so the enemy will just end up walking into you, which you would think is a good mechanic because it means you have to think out your moves before doing them. But honestly, it's just more annoying than anything. There are ways to kill them, like dropping stuff on their head, but their movements are so random it's very hard to do. The AI's movement in general in this is just very random. For example, they might just camp a carrot so you're stuck there waiting forever for them to get out of the way. When you move left or when you move right, you have to wait until the walk animation is fully complete before you can go the other way. It makes Bugs kind of hard to control. I know I just went on a rant about many things wrong about the game, but honestly it's really not that bad. It doesn't blow me away, but it has its issues. It's kind of like what the last game was, a perfect way to pass the time. This does have a Game Boy port that came out a bit later, which is honestly a better version, which I honestly don't know how that happened. Most console ports to handheld ports were worse, but this one's actually better on this thing. But as you can see here, it's the exact same kind of game, but it controls a lot better. The walking animation issue doesn't happen on this, and it's way easier to tell which elevator you are coming out of. I actually have a fond memory with the NES version. Back when I was a wee lad, I rocked back and forth on a chair and I got told to stop. I didn't, and then I fell backwards on the chair and ended up getting probably brain damage because my skull got cracked open. But in the hospital, guess what they had? Crazy Castle. And like I said before, this is the perfect example. It's something to do to waste your time. The third game on our list of games today is called Bugs Bunny Birthday Blowout, released in 1990 on the NES. Now that is a good-looking Bugs Bunny. The story is you have to go to a birthday party you were invited to, and Wily is upset at this, so he's going to try and stop you. Pretty simple stuff. It is a basic 2D side-scroller. You can jump and attack things with your hammer, but the hammer doesn't even come out half the time. Also, what are even these enemies you have to beat with the hammer? A box of salt? An alarm clock? Another hammer? Anyway, these enemies definitely need hit stun, because when you hit them, they keep coming at you and you take damage. The bosses are also terrible. It's cool that they're all Looney Tune themed, but all you need to do is just smack them until they die. It's pretty basic. I mean, you have enough health, so most of the time you'll be fine anyway. And looking at this gameplay, have you noticed something yet? Have you been feeling a bit nauseous perhaps? Maybe your eyes hurt? The way the screen moves is extremely nauseating. It's horrible. It actually made me sick to play this. What makes this platformer different from the others is that the gimmick of this game is when you collect carrots, they turn into platforms that you can jump on. I think this is pretty neat. The carrots also have another use. If you get enough, you get to play a bonus game. There are several in this game. One is this gambling minigame, which I honestly have no clue what you do here, and something like whack-a-mole. Overall, this isn't a bad game. The platforming is fine, the music is fine, the graphics are fine. It's a pretty simple 2D platformer with a lot of charm put into it. But man, with the nauseating screen movement, the hammer not coming out half the time, the undercooked bosses, I feel like this game could have actually been one of the best platforms on the system. I feel like if it had more time in the oven, this would have been a very good game, as there needed to be a lot of fixes and additional things added. The next game on our list today is a game called Bugs Bunny Hare-Brained Adventure. It was released around the same time as the last one. Looking at the screenshots, this actually isn't a platformer, but it's the only video game on this list that isn't, so I figure I would do it anyway. This came out on early PCs, so let's see what they can achieve. I have no idea what this is. I also didn't know this until now, but a lot of PC games back then had these pink and blue graphics. It's not just this one, it's a bunch of them. Very interesting stuff. From my understanding, you need to find 5 keys and get out, all while avoiding these guys. You may think it's simple, but this castle is a maze. I played this for 30 minutes and I didn't find a single key. It doesn't even tell you where to go. This again is a time waster, but not a very good one. 1 year later, in 1991, a game came out on the Game Boy called Bugs Bunny Crazy Castle 2? 2? This got a sequel? And my favorite game didn't? Honestly though, the first game wasn't that bad, so having a sequel is alright with me, so long as they improve it. But is that something they did? They actually did! This game has a story where you have to rescue this bunny girl, which means the game also has a brand new level system and ditches the arcade feel of the last one, which for me is perfectly fine. This game has more gimmicks as well, such as being able to shoot enemies and go through warps. Visually, it also looks better, which is a shock considering again, it's on this thing. This controls a lot better as well. His movement feels way more fluid. They're honestly getting better at this. Though the premise of the game is the exact same as the last one. Get all the stuff and then get to the end. My only complaint is that the levels can be very long, and if you die, you have to restart. Retro games, I guess. Honestly, if I got this for $1 at a garage sale, I wouldn't complain, as it is a very good improvement. We won't see another Bugs Bunny game until 3 years later in 1994, where we go from this to this. Look at that graphical leap. Holy moly. Bugs Bunny Rabbit Rampage is the name of this one. And this just might be one of the best looking Super Nintendo games I have ever played. Just look at it. It's so beautiful. From the art style to the animation, it just screams charm. And it's the closest thing to mimicking the Bugs Bunny style of the cartoons, which the previous games haven't even tried to do yet. This is amazing to look at. I love just looking at it. This game is fucking horrible. It controls so badly. The jump button doesn't even work half the time you push it. The hitbox of your attack are terrible and don't even hit the enemy half the time. And even if you do, they're gonna run into you anyway. There's also just so much stuff flying at you all at once, it's really hard to dodge because you're such a sloggy character. Bugs Bunny takes up 20% of the screen, and you can't do that. That's way too much. The maps are also ginormous for no reason. There's multiple ways to go, but there's only one exit. And with him being so big, it's so hard to navigate. This is the first time I've ever felt like this with the game. I don't want to play it to play it. I want to play it to look at it because it's beautiful, and so are you, dear viewer. Well, 2 years after that, on the Sega Genesis in 1996, we get Bugs Bunny in Double Trouble. You might think, oh, is it called Double Trouble because you get to play as 2 characters? Well, actually, dear viewer, this is a reference to how they made 2 bad games in a row. I don't actually know why it's called this. You only play as Bugs Bunny. Again, the game looks good. Bugs Bunny does control a bit better here, but the level design sucks. For the first level, you need to guide Daffy into the signs to swap them all to his face. This is mechanic overload for a brand new player. They haven't even got the controls down and you're demanding too much of them. And if he touches you, you get punished because he hurts you. The second level, you need to go underground and grab a bunch of items to defeat the bull. But the underground is so unneedlessly big and you can't even see much of it as you get lost because it all looks the same. This game is simply not fun. The game was also released on the Game Gear. Yeah, this thing. At around the same time, and it's better? This is like the third time this has happened. Why are the much weaker handhelds getting better versions of the games? The game is pretty much the same, but on a smaller screen, which kinda sucks. But because it's on a smaller screen, you could see so much more of the map. It's so much more easier to see on this thing. And look how small that screen is. Why is it easier to see shit on this rather than this? It even controls a lot better too. It doesn't feel like a slog to control bugs. But unfortunately, as I said, the game is the same. So if you actually want to just play the game, just play the Game Gear version. And in 1998, 2 years later, we're back with the handhelds as Looney Tunes, Carrot Crazy. Wait. I know I said I wasn't going to do any Looney Tunes games, but these developers were based in Europe. And in Europe, the game was actually called Bugs Bunny and Lola Bunny Operation Carrot Patch. In this one, you can play as either Bugs Bunny or Lola Bunny and swap at any time. Whenever I am able, I will be playing as Lola Bunny for no reason whatsoever. Do we have a problem? This is a 2D platformer, and each character has their own mechanics to use on each level. Bugs, for example, can push boulders and dig holes, while Lola can float down using a parasol to get farther to reach certain areas. Honestly, if it were me, I would give both characters the same moveset and just let you swap anytime you want between them. Having multiple characters with specific moves doesn't really add to much when you can just swap at any time anyway. The game visually looks pretty good, and the OST is also pretty good. However, is fall damage really needed? The goal of this game is to get every cut sign, I forget what this is called, which let you go to the next level. But if you miss even one, you have to go all the way back, which is annoying. The minigames you get by beating these levels, however, are pretty fun and they add some variety. In this one, you just have to hit these bastards. However, if you game over it all, you restart the whole game. Retro games, I guess. But at least this game has the easiest password system I have ever seen in a retro game. Honestly, this isn't really a bad game. It's just kinda okay, but it's not really for me. It does the job of being a good 2D platformer. But roughly about 1 year later, or 2 years later since the last console game in 1999, we get to what I have been waiting for. This is what inspired this entire video, a game I have already kind of played. Bugs Bunny Lost in Time. Look at this 2-year leap. Isn't this incredible what we could do back then? Now we're just losers who have played Fortnite for 10 years. Now I said I played this, but I only played the demo disc that was available in the US. I don't live in the US. How did I get this? As a kid, I thought it was a lot of fun, but now I get to play the real game, and I am very excited to do so. Right off the bat, we can see this game features fully voiced cutscenes, which is really neat.
Ooh, my name is Merlin, and I'm a sorcerer.
Yeah? Really? A sorcerer? Come on, let me see a saucer. Please?
We start at the tutorial, which gives you an information blast of moves. Luckily, it's not too much, so it's easy to take in. It's basic 3D platforming controls like jumping and moving around the camera. You can also sneak to, well, sneak up on guards, but you can also prevent things from breaking if you sneak on them. You can also pick up items and throw them to use them as platforms. We then get put into the game, the real game, and I am so excited. Can't you tell from my monotone voice? I actually am excited. I don't know why I sound like this. The goal of the game is quite simple. We have a massive overworld we can fly around in. We can go to many different points in time. And in these points in time are the hub worlds, where we can then choose a level to go into, which will have some platforming and puzzle solving you need to do to get your main goal. The main goal is collecting clocks. Just looking at this game's style and the way it's presented with its music, this game is Bugs Bunny to its core. That is the most positive trait. But unfortunately, that's where my excitement dies. Remember how I said the goal of this game is getting clocks? How many do you think you need to beat the game? There are 124 clocks in this game, and to beat it, you need 120. You can only miss 4. These things, this right here, is why this game for me has failed. This isn't even oh, you need to get all of them by the end to beat the game. No. You need to have almost 100% almost all the time. To unlock more levels in this game, you need clocks. Let me give you an example. Let's say, for example, you need 25 clocks to get to the next level. This most likely means that there are only 25 clocks for you to get so far, meaning you have to get all of them to progress. And while this would be fine, the levels are so incredibly long that if you miss one, you have to go back through the level again to get it. I like taking my time and exploring these levels. There was one level I took 40 minutes to, which is probably way more than you need, but I don't want to do that again because I missed one clock. There are no clues where they could be, so you have to scour the entire level again just to find which one you missed. It is incredibly unfortunate that the game is like this. I want to enjoy and beat this game, but it won't let me. The only way I can is if I spend more of my time going through the entire level again just to find that one missing clock. But how about Bugs himself? How does he control while you're doing all this? Honestly, sometimes he can be kind of annoying to control. It's not too terrible, you get used to it after a bit, but it can be sometimes annoying. For some reason, he will just decide to jump automatically when you get near an edge, which can be annoying if you're trying to time your jump. He also does this weird thing where if you walk in the opposite direction of where he's going, instead of immediately going in the opposite direction, he will circle backwards instead of going straight backwards. This game has such fun mini games on the side as well. Such an amazing art style, fun bosses, amazing soundtrack. This is Bugs Bunny. This is the most Bugs Bunny game we have played so far. But it feels like the game doesn't want me to play it, and it doesn't appreciate my time as a player. Which is probably why it's called Lost in Time.
That's not funny.
It makes me very sad. I was looking forward to this one. I wanted to play more of it, but I couldn't. This isn't a bad game. This is a very good one, and playthroughs may vary. Someone else could find everything on their first try, and that would be great. But a lot of the times, I don't think they will. I really just wish it wasn't such a big pain to progress. Luckily though, there are more games ahead. In that same year, in 1999, we get Bugs Bunny Crazy Cat 3? 3? Are you serious? It's been 8 years and you hit us with a random ass third game? And I can't believe it. They did it again. The game is even better than the last one. The graphics are so much better than the last one, these ones being in color this time, and overall just having a cuter tone. It is way more presentable, though I don't really need to go over this for that long because it's pretty much the same kind of game than the last one. Other than it's being improved, it doesn't really do much different. I don't really have much to say. This is probably the best one in the series though so far. Now, here we are. A new era approaches us. The year 2000 has come, and with it comes exciting new technology, prospects, and hope for the future of mankind. Are you fucking kidding me? Why are there 4 of these? Well, as it turns out, these are licensing hell games, and they reskin them a bunch of time. All these are the same game. The first Crazy Castle was actually Roger Rabbit in Japan. The first Crazy Castle on Game Boy was Mickey Mouse in Japan. And the second Crazy Castle was Mickey Mouse 2 in Japan, but also called Hugo and Mickey Mouse in Europe. But they still also released in Japan as Bugs Bunny in a game called the Bugs Bunny Collection. After that, they released Mickey Mouse 3, but it was released here as Kid Clown in Nightmare World, which we don't have to play because that's not Bugs Bunny. But after that, they released Mickey Mouse 4, which also isn't Bugs Bunny in North America. But take a fucking guess what it was here. Ghostbusters. And guess what that got turned into for Europe? Garfield. After that, we get Mickey Mouse 5, which is actually Mickey Mouse everywhere else. Why couldn't they do that before? But now we're back at Crazy Castle 3, which is Go-Go Kid Sore UK Kid Go-Go Kid in Japan, which also released as Bugs Bunny Crazy Castle 3 there anyway. What? And finally, we're on Bugs Bunny Crazy Castle 4, which is rather simple. It released in Japan as Crazy Castle 4 as well. So we're back to normal. Crazy Castle 5 is Woody Woodpecker.
God damn it!
All right, back to the game. And this again is going to be quick because again, it's the same thing as the last one. The graphics here are again improved, but I honestly think this one's a bit worse than the last one. The maps are the biggest they've ever been, which doesn't really work well for this kind of game, because if you die, you have to do it all over again. It's a huge time waster. Retro games, I guess. Plus, remember how in all the other ones, you just simply had to walk over the item to collect it? Well, now they're all in chests, so it takes a lot longer for you to actually get the item, which just adds up to wasted time. It's not horrible, but here's my crazy castle tier list. But what is this? In the corner of my eye, something approaches the last Bugs Bunny game, released on Windows and PlayStation 1. Bugs Bunny and Taz Time Busters. Another time game? I actually wasn't going to play this one. This one does have Bugs Bunny in the title, but the feel of this game, it feels kind of more like a Looney Tunes game. In the end, I realized that would be stupid and makes no sense. But it's not just that. I feel like the look of the game kind of turned me off. It's very hard to explain, but I feel like it's lost the Looney Tunes art style. Like, look at these backdrops from the cartoons. It doesn't really feel like that in these kinds of games. However, minus my one weirdo complaint, this is the best Bugs Bunny game ever made. This game improves so much from the last time game that we played. The graphics, while they don't have the style that I personally like, this is still one of the best looking games on the PlayStation 1, if not the best looking game on the PlayStation 1. And I'm saying this because this isn't even a linear game. This game is huge. I'm not even sure how it looks like this with how big it is. Not just that, the soundtrack is improved, the animations are better, the voice acting is way better.
Hello, ma'am. Daffy Duck, better than a shoe exterminators. I believe you're in need of our A1 super duper pest removal services.
I'm also in need of a tissue.
And more importantly, Bugs Bunny controls very well. Let's dig in. Starting the game, you get another information blast as a tutorial, which, like the last game, if you've already played a 3D platformer, you will be fine. And if you've already played the last game, Bugs controls pretty much the same. However, in this one, you now have Taz. He can spin and push heavy objects, and is overall stronger but slower than Bugs. Bugs is a lot weaker, but he's a lot faster and he can get around more, like he has more movement options like being able to jump higher and can dig around. This game has the same premise of the last one though. You solve puzzles, do some platforming, and complete tons of different minigames to get gears. Gears are your main objective for this game. As at the start of the game, Daffy breaks the time regulator, which has its core pop out, which he then proceeds to steal. So it's our goal to get the gears back and the gem. They unlock more worlds, and guess what? You don't need to get every single one to progress and beat the game. But if you do, you get a special reward at the end. This is how games should be. There's also another mechanic that you have to do to unlock the next levels. You have to find 3 boss tokens around the map, and once you do, you unlock the boss area, and after you do the boss area, you can fight the boss. The bosses in this are all very unique from each other, and they're all very fun to do. One boss may have you do special moves equals to what's on the platform, and after you do that, you can steal his hammer to break open the cage. And another boss has you luring them under a chest that's falling, which bashes on their head. You then pick them up and throw them at a gong. Everything in this game is unique, though there are a lot of repeat things in this game, like you'll be playing the same style minigame that's just a rhythm minigame many times over. Though I will say, I am very impressed with this game, as this is the only fully 3D game on this system, I believe, that lets you play with a second player on the screen at the same time. They just control Taz. This would have been very fun to co-op with someone, but I don't think anyone is going to pull up to my house if I was saying I was going to be playing Bugs Bunny, Taz in Time. Why not? You can actually control the second character anyway at the same time as yours with the right stick button anyway, which is pretty neat. This doesn't really have many uses, but it's still pretty cool. Honestly, this is probably the best Bugs Bunny game out there, and it's cool that we get Taz along with this one. And with that, I have gone through every single Bugs Bunny game I can, but as per the title of this video, I need to recommend which ones are worth playing. Here is my honest opinion of what they are. This video took a long time to make. This is where I would e-beg for subscriptions and likes, but I don't really feel like it. Instead, please give me feedback to whatever you can. And who knows? We definitely aren't done with all the other games Bugs is in. I don't think this is the last time we'll be seeing him. There's still a huge cast of Looney Tunes characters out there as well to go through, so who knows what will be next. I do hope, however, that you enjoyed and had a good time. And again, if you have any feedback on my video, please let me know. Now, if you excuse me, I'm going to enjoy the rest of my time watching Bugs Bunny.